guys, Sam here with N2 Packaging, and I'll be talking about our semi-automated seamer today. This is a great starter option if you don't need the high volume seamer capabilities or see the need for those, then this is a great piece. So this is a more affordable option. You just won't get as many cans per minute out of it. First things first, we're gonna wanna dive right into our height adjustment for the can being used. In order to do that, I wanna roll my seam rollers around until my first operation, which is gonna be my roller with about the 90-degree angle in it, whereas my second one is a more open groove, okay? So I'm gonna roll my first operation to the beginning of its ramp, which, as you see, as I turn this around, my lifter plate will start to raise. And I want my lifting tray to be at the highest position possible without intruding on the chuck. So as I do that, I roll this around. As you can see, I'm just at the start of my ramp here, and my lifting tray is at the highest point. I have a check nut on here. I'm going to take a crescent wrench and I'm going to loosen this. Once I loosen this check nut, now I can thread my lifting tray up or down as much as needed. I want to bring this tray down to where I can fit the can being used with a pull tab underneath the chuck and on the lifter tray. And then I'm going to raise this lifting tray up to meet the chuck and have enough pressure on the can to where I can't spin it by hand. Right here, I can still spin this can. So I'm going to keep threading up till I cannot physically move that can by hand. Once I've done that, I can lock my check nut into place. Spin it down and give it a nice tighten. Once we've done that, we've set our height. I will now spin counterclockwise on my seaming head to get my can to drop down. I'm gonna pull that out of the way. Then I'm gonna check and verify my seam roll settings. We'll start with our first operation. Roll this back around, and unlike setting the height for the can, I want to be on the ramp, not before it, but on the ramp at its highest point. So I'm gonna keep rolling around where it's right in front of me, and I'm going to take my feeler gauge to our recommended parameters for a seam roll. I'll grab the right correct feeler gauge, and I'm going to measure the distance between the chuck and the roller. Okay, good there. Now to check my second operation, I'm going to roll around to my second operation. And I have got my second operation right there. Again, using the correct feeler gauge, I'm going to check my gapping between those two. And it looks good. If I needed to make adjustments, both rollers have two bolts to adjust. I have a bolt here for my height adjustment. If I loosen this bolt, I can move my seam roller up and down. If I loosen this bolt here, I can swing my seam roller in and out, closer or farther away from the chuck as needed. And then tighten back up when you find the correct parameter. Okay, now that we've verified that those are good to go, with machine plugged in, I can go ahead and flip my power switch. This red light will illuminate. It is not a button, it is just simply a power indicator light. Okay, and then on the touch screen, I will have an N2 packaging screen come up. I can touch anywhere on this screen, and then I have a language selection. Select language, and I have an automatic, a manual, and a jog function. Automatic you will never use. It just keeps going and going. There is no stop to it until you click off of automatic. Manual is what we will want to use for a one-time seaming action. That's what we will be using for this operation. Jog, if I push jog, as long as I hold the start button is how long it will seam. We can use that for diagnosing problems or getting to a certain point on the rollers that we need, but for this operation, again, we will be using manual mode. Okay, so I will simply click manual, and I always give it just a one go around just to reset everything. Okay, now I'm reset. I will place my can and lid. onto the lifting tray, hands away, and push my start button. After it is done moving, I can now grab the can, and I'm going to inspect this can for a nice clean seam roll, just like that. And that's your semi-automated seamer.